To customize the Excel environment, we're going to go backstage to the options screen, but before we do that, one of the customizations that I want to do is to be able to change the Office theme. The Office theme, the default is white, where you get the white ribbon next to the white frame. It doesn't really distinguish between the ribbon and the frame except for the thin line. I want something that's a bit more contrasting than white next to white. So to go ahead and make the change, come up here and click on the File tab, go down to Options. In the Excel Options screen, the General tab is selected by default. Just come down here then to personalize your copy of Microsoft Office, and notice how it says Office, not Excel, because any changes that you make within this section is going to update all the Office programs that you have installed on your computer, not just Excel. Like other Office programs include Word, PowerPoint, Access, Project. So if I come over here and I change the Office theme from white to, ooh, look at all those choices. Light gray. Oh, at least in earlier versions of Office, you had blue, black, and silver, and with blue, hey, that was a really nice color. This, okay, let's go with light gray. And then click OK, and you can see, there you go. You got a lighter shade of gray next to the frame, which is a darker shade of gray. And what you do in one Office program will update all the others installed on the computer. In fact, let's go ahead and come down here and right-click on Word to get the jump list. So I can go ahead and select Word 2013, and it opens up the startup screen, and click on blank document, and you can see that the Office theme here as well is also light gray. So if I even come in here in Word and click on the File tab and go down to Options, again General tab, and change it back to white and click Okie dokie, well, Word goes back to white. Close out also all the other Office programs installed on the computer, including Excel. Other options, let's click on the File tab to go backstage to Options. Also notice that within the same section, just above Office theme, you've got the username. You may want to change that to your name. Here's why. Whenever you create a new workbook, whatever name is in the box is going to be the author. So if you want to take credit, go ahead and type in your name so you're the author. Also, any comments that you insert into a cell is going to use the name within the box. And anytime you share the workbook, it will use the name to identify you if you added data or made modifications to data within a cell, and also to other users that are sharing it. Hopefully they updated their username so you can identify who they are if they're adding data to a cell or making changes. Above that, when it comes to creating a new workbook, you can go ahead and customize this. Now, the default font is body font. What the heck is that? Well, it's Calibri. How do I know that? Let me show you. Let me click Cancel. Come up here on the Home tab to the font group, and there it is, Calibri. Well, it said body font. How come it says Calibri? That doesn't make sense. Go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow and see if this makes sense. You see you got a list of all your fonts down below, but up above you have what's called theme fonts, just a little section. There's Calibri, and notice it says body. Well, that's what it says backstage in the Excel options, and that's a theme font. And you also have headings, which if you have any text that you apply a heading to, it'll be in Calibri Light. I want to keep it simple here because we got a training video or training videos on theme fonts to go over this more in depth. But to keep it simple, a theme font is a way that you can go ahead and select a theme that will update all the text within your workbook to a body font and any that have the formatting Calibri Light to the heading font here in a single click. So you don't have to come off over here and say, okay, now I want to change all the font here. I have to select everything and then come up here and change it to here and go to the next worksheet. Change. No. In a single click, that's what the theme font does, which is really helpful and useful. We'll go over it more in depth, but I want to keep it simple here. Now, if you're not going to use theme fonts where you can update the entire workbook in a single click to having your headings in Calibri Light and the rest of the body that's not in heading format to Calibri, then of course go ahead and go backstage, File, down to Options, and say you're not going to use these body fonts or heading fonts here to use the theme feature, but just go off on your own. Just like let's type in a font, Arial, and you can see it's down below here, and there it is. Let me go ahead and select it, and then the font size, let's do 10. Now for the default view for new sheets, well, choose whatever you want. I want to stay normal, and then include this many sheets. Well, new to Excel 2013, if you can call it that, is that you get one sheet when you create a new workbook. In previous versions of Excel, they gave you 3 sheets, but Microsoft is going green. If you leave it at 1 sheet, that's fine because you can always add additional sheets. If you put it at 5 sheets and you don't use all 5, you can delete them. That's not a big deal. Just in general, when you create a new workbook, how many sheets do you normally work with? Just to save you time so you don't have to go ahead and add additional 4 sheets if the 1 sheet is the default, or if you want 5 sheets. In any case, let's go ahead and leave it here and click Okie dokie. Then it says we got to restart Excel in order for the changes to take effect. Click Okie dokie, close out. Let's go ahead and open up Excel. Takes us to the startup screen where we can choose a blank workbook, and hey, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 worksheets. Fabulous. And then the default font now is Arial. Click on the drop down arrow, and there's Arial. You can still scroll up and see that, hey, you still have theme fonts if you want to use them. And if you do, that's probably best to go backstage and choose body so you can start using these again. In any case, we'll cover all the different ways you can decide when to use a theme font or theme fonts. And also know that the theme font body is not locked into Calibri. There are other theme fonts that give you a different type of font for the heading and a different type of font for the body. In other words, it's trying to make it thematic, something that makes sense. I mean, if you're watching a scary movie, you don't want some happy music playing in the background, I guess, unless it's a comedy. You want something that blends together. So when you have headings, Calibri Light blends with Calibri, so that's in part what a theme is. That, as I mentioned, can be applied to the entire workbook in a single click, which is a huge benefit if you've got a lot of worksheets and you need to update or change your fonts on the fly. Let's keep it simple. Let's go ahead and close out. And any cell that I click in is going to be Arial, even on different worksheets. Any cell that I click in is going to be Arial. Let's go back to sheet 1. The other option that you get if you come up here and you want to save your workbook, click on the Save button. You get some options over here where you can go right to recent folders, or you can click Browse. When you do that, the default folder it browses to is the documents. If you want to have it go to another folder, or even like your desktop by default, well, let's go ahead and click Cancel. In the Backstage, go to Options again, and then come up here and click on the Save tab, and there's the default local file location, the documents. So from the hard drive, when a user logs in, and I log in under Training, it's going to go right to the Documents folder. So you can go ahead and change that and say, well, look, let's just have you go to the desktop by default when I save. And if you have a folder on the desktop that's called Spiffy, then go ahead and identify that through the address from the hard drive, the user training on his desktop is going to be a folder called Spiffy. But you know what? I'll just have it navigate right to the desktop. That's good enough for me. And click Okie dokie. And so when I come up here and click on Save, and I go to the Backstage and I click Browse, hey, it goes right to the desktop, not to the Documents folder. Cool. Let's click Cancel. Let's go to Options here. And let me change sheets from, no pun intended. Let's go back to 1 sheet. Let's see, the other thing I want to show you that I find important is that, well, new to 2013, when you open up Excel or Word, you get that startup screen. I was used to opening up Excel or Word right with a blank spreadsheet or a blank document in Word. So I get the option down below to not have the start screen show when this application starts. And then before I go ahead and test this and click Okie dokie, let me go back to the Save tab. And when it comes to opening and saving files, I don't want to go backstage. I like it when I open a file, it opens up a little window that I can navigate and not take me backstage where I have to do an extra click. So I'll say don't show the backstage and click Okie dokie. So let's go ahead and close out, test it, open up Excel, double click. Hey, where's the startup screen? It goes right to just one worksheet here, blank worksheet, fabulous. It's what I'm used to in earlier versions of Excel, so I'm good with that. And then when I come up here and click on the Save button, hey, it doesn't go backstage. It actually opens up a window that I can navigate and not have to waste an extra click when I click Save. And it takes me back here to come click on the computer to find a recent folder or click Browse again. I mean, whew, I'm already worn out. That's too many clicks.